Yeah, and I can still hear you, even though I've turned it down.
Brilliant.
So,
Yeah. So I can always shout. Like,
yeah. No, I think you're all right. Let's try it this way.
cool.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, if you want to
so
just
I,
introduce yourself, really, that'd be great.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm Dave Waltham. I'm uh, a geophysicist, which means I use physics to study the Earth, and I've been doing that for 35 years at the University of London. Uh, and a lot of my work has actually involved looking for oil, interestingly. But I've also done a lot of work on ancient climate change. So looking at what happened to the Earth, 500 million years ago or a
Okay.
billion years ago, um, and so the clash, I guess.
Yeah.
When I started looking at modern climate change, because I thought I should, I was quite shocked because uh, the counter arguments are dreadful.
Mm.
They're really, really weak. Uh, and I did believe in modern climate change. I did believe it was happening. I did believe it was a problem. But I hadn't quite appreciated how serious it is, how strong the evidence is, and how close we are to going too far. So that's really what's happened to me in the last couple of years. And as a result of that, I've got quite involved in climate change activism,
Yeah.
and I've scaled back as much as I can my oil industry work without getting the sack.
With what?
Without getting the sack.
What?
Because
No, you said
yeah,
you've cut back on.
I'll cut back on the work that I do
Okay.
that involves oil exploration, but
Yeah.
I can't cut it back completely because it's part of what I get paid to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
But I'm trying to move my department in new directions, and I think that will happen.
Yeah.
It's going to take me a year or two.
Yeah. So, no, it's interesting. So, if we kind of go back on that, like you said about the counter argument and stuff like that, if you could just go over that, just to give a bit of a backdrop, because obviously from my point of view, I look at this so narrow-minded in a nutrition point of view. It's good just to get like, and I just see one argument and the other argument, but I don't look at the research specifically in the area of climate change. I'm not trained to do that. I'll look at nutrients, not that.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's two bits to the science. There's the science that says it's going to get a few degrees warmer if we keep adding
Yeah,
greenhouse gases, and that's something that's been known since the 1890s. This is not new
yeah,
science at all. In the 1890s, they thought it was going to take thousands of years for us to add significant amounts of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. In fact, we've done it in a century. Uh, and we're now starting to see almost exactly what people predicted back in the 1890s.
okay,
So that bit's not particularly new. It's what people have been talking about, certainly for 30 or 40 years, quite a lot. The other aspect is how much climate change is okay. Until recently, everyone was saying, well, we shouldn't do more than a 2 degree increase. As long as we don't do more than that, we should be okay. And what's really changed in the last couple of years is that the science is now coming out very strongly and saying, no, 2 degrees is too much.
right,
We can really only get away with 1.5 degrees.
okay,
And that's where the sudden panic has come from, because we've already got a degree of warming. So we've now only got another half degree, and we used to think we still had another whole degree. So the room for manoeuvre is literally cut in half in the last few years.
yeah, yeah. So, what are your kind of recommendations in terms of like biggest changes, or perhaps smallest changes you can make with the biggest
Yeah.
return on investment for the
Well,
environment?
the biggest changes that individuals can make are really about how much beef they eat, how
Yeah,
much dairy they eat. That can have quite a significant effect. How much travelling you do and how you travel, so cutting back on flying,
yeah,
not driving when you don't need to. Uh, and around the house, the best thing you could do is actually improve the insulation in your house. You buy solar panels and heat pumps and all that sort
yeah,
of thing. much more effective just to improve the insulation, particularly if you've got an older house.
Yeah.
And if you do those sorts of things, you can probably cut back your emissions by 10 or 20%.
Okay. So
More wide,
yeah. Sorry. No, you go.
yeah, more widely, the things that are going to make a difference are as we gradually increase the amount of electricity that's generated using renewable methods, and also as we change the way we make things, so that instead of using fossil fuels, we use electricity.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we use electricity to power our cars, that will help, but that will mean we need to use a lot more electricity. So, at the same time as we're increasing the proportion of renewable, we've also got to increase the total amount of electricity as well. And those things are going to take a few decades to bring together.
Yeah. So what about if we talk about like a food nutrition point of view here, like is there different impacts of different farming methods?
Yes, very much.
So because you see different, I hear different things all the time, and some people will say to me, "Oh yeah, but I always go like organic or I'll go grass fed in terms of beef," and then some people will say things like, if it's grass fed, like the manure, what they lay down has a good impact long term. Like, what's your verdict on that?
It's complicated. I can't give you a simple message. But different farming practices do make a big difference. For example, the emissions from beef, if you go to best practice or worst practice, there's a difference of about 3 or 4-fold in the amount of emissions. So it can make an enormous difference. Sadly, the best way to cut back the emissions associated with beef is to grow the cows quickly and kill them young.
Right, okay.
So in other words, you put them in a shed and you stuff them full of antibiotics and all that sort of stuff. So from an animal welfare point of view, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
The best way to treat the animals is not the best from the point of view of greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
Grass-fed is not very good either, because it's doing the opposite of that. It's not an intensive form. It's low intensity. It means the cows are around longer.
Yeah.
One thing you can do is get your beef from dairy herds.
Okay.
And because you're sort of getting 2 banks for the buck there, you get your dairy products and you're getting your meat. That actually reduces the overall effect of the meat. And the final thing you can do is when you graze the cattle, if you do graze them in a clever way, that does help to lock up some carbon. So, for example, grazing them in areas with trees, interestingly, helps because they actually trample the leaves into the ground that are falling off the trees, as well as their own poops or collecting there. So that actually does store a little bit of carbon. So there are better ways to do things.
Yeah.
But there's no really good things. The bottom line is beef is really by far the worst the foodstuffs from a climate change perspective.
So let's say, because I know there's a few, and bear in mind, obviously I come from a nutritional background, and when I look at research, I think someone will show me even a research paper, and I'll just go, yeah, but the methods are horrendous, like, and I'll go, I would take that as a pinch of salt because they use this, but I've seen one model, and obviously it's got to be a model because they're looking at the future, when you get rid of like animal agriculture in the US, and they just did like a model, and they said that, I'll get a quote from it, it said there'll be a 2.6% reduction in greenhouse gases if you got rid of animal agriculture. But then we would have an agricultural system like no animals that wouldn't meet the dietary needs of humans. And then people have looked at it from a point of view of what happens then to like supplements. What's like the greenhouse gases of that way. So if you have to grow more plants, obviously, what happens to the soil? Then what happens to if you have to take a supplement to get the nutrient? Like, I don't know. It's really complex, right?
Yeah.
And I look at it, I think, yeah. What's your views on kind of
Like,
that?
making food using animals is inherently inefficient
Yeah.
because you have to feed the animals far more foods than you get out of them. So it takes more land to produce, let's say, a kilogram of protein from an animal than it does to get a kilogram of protein from plants. But I'm not sure many people are advocating getting rid of animals completely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are good things to say about animals as well. A good example is the field opposite where I live, which is mostly left alone. But every year for a few months, the farm just puts some cattle in there, and they graze, and they poo, and then they left. Presumably they get slaughtered. But the overall effect is that it keeps new trees down. It allows it to remain as sort of scrubland.
Yeah.
And there's a mixture of open scrubland and trees and so on. And that landscape is very, very biodiverse because you've got this sort of matrix of different types of habitat for different insects and different birds and so on. And it would be very hard to do that without animals.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely against there being some animal farming.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that we can't feed the whole world with a Western levels of meat.
Yeah.
There isn't enough land to do it.
Yeah.
So even from that point of view, without going into climate change, it's not sustainable for the whole world to be carrying on eating, 15 beef burgers a week.
Yeah. Yes.
So
there was one. So because I've put this out there to a few people as well, and like on social media, someone asked me a question about, and they saw this in the it was in the newspaper, I think. So eggs being bad for the environment now because you have to feed grain to the chicken. But and this is I just said I have obviously from what because a few of the people I work with they have chickens and they say, and I said how much you feed them and we worked out it's about 110 grams a day of grains. And bear in mind even if they get one egg out of that, if you compare it nutritionally, they're almost getting more bang for their buck with an egg than the grains. And then obviously, that's longer lasting. But yeah, what about like more poultry? What's that like in terms of environment?
It's a lot better than beef.
Right.
It's about 10 times better.
Okay.
But beans are about 10 times better again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Is what it boils down to. I guess there are sort of ways of using land where, for example, you might have got land that you can only grow sheep on.
Yeah.
You could grow crops there. It's probably the same with chickens. I suspect a lot of places where chickens are kept are not actually suitable for arable farming.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as simple as I'm saying. But nevertheless, in purely greenhouse gas terms, the more vegetables and pulses and beans and so on you eat rather than animal protein, the better. Okay. It is that simple.
Cool. So this next question I'm actually genuinely interested because I've just recorded a podcast on gut health, and one of the recommendations on that is for people because the amount of people who come out of and say it when I mention it about IBS, bloating in humans. This is obviously producing gas, and a way of reducing that is a low fermentation diet, like low FODMAPs, which is where you actually reduce your fibre intake from things like beans and fibres. What's the? This is a weird question, I know, but I'm interested in it. Humans' contribution to greenhouse gases.
Tiny, especially as my understanding is most of the gas that comes out of people is hydrogen. It's not methane, and hydrogen doesn't have a greenhouse gas effect, or at least it's tiny, really tiny. methane is a much, much more powerful greenhouse gas even than carbon dioxide.
Mm.
And that is produced by cows because of the way they digest their food. These multiple stomachs thing that they've got where they swallow it and then they chew it and swallow it again, and it goes round and round in their system. That generates lots of methane. Humans, though.
Good.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why pigs, poultry, are considered to be a lot better than cows, sheep, and goats.
Yeah.
Because they've got different digestive systems.
Yeah. 4 stomachs to digest the grass.
Yeah, that's it. And it produces a lot of methane.
Yeah.
Some humans apparently do produce methane. I don't think it's actually understood why some people do and some people don't.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Even those of us who do, it's a tiny amount. It's not worth worrying about.
I'll tell my wife that. I've got an excuse now.
Yeah.
Cool. So I also wanted to talk about. So you mentioned like dairy. Would that just be coupled with like beef in general, or what about if someone got it from like goat or like goat's cheese and stuff? Is that same?
Yeah, it's not much different to be honest. It's still better than beef.
Yeah.
But dairy products, cheese and milk, still produces quite a lot of greenhouse gas, which is one of the reasons I've largely switched to milk alternatives.
Yeah.
Their greenhouse gas footprint's about a third of that of milk.
Yeah. I guess from a nutritional point of view, like so we can store vitamin B6, we know, and vitamin B in general, we get that from animal products and dairy. Similar with iron, in terms of bioavailability, like what your body can absorb. You can store enough vitamin B for about 6 years. I guess the question is, and omega-3 as well, like, and we'll go on to fish in a second. I wonder about that. Like, is there what's the answer? Like, because if people are then more deficient in certain nutrients, which when you look at it is a possibility, like although beans are nutritious, everything's nutritious, when you cut out a whole food group, if someone does that, and whether is that is right or wrong in overall, and you put yourself at more risk of so we know from research, this isn't my opinion, like bone fractures seem to be higher and iron deficiencies seem to be higher in more vegan, vegetarian populations. Like, is there a middle ground? What's the effect of like supplementation? So someone takes a supplement of like working out the greenhouse gas of like making it, shipping it, stuff like that. I don't know. I find it fascinating.
I have no idea what the greenhouse gas impact of vitamin pills is.
Yeah.
I don't even know if anyone's looked into it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's anything like as much as the impact from cattle farming. It's going to be very small, I'd have thought. And there's no need, for example, to air freight them. They don't go off quickly. So that's a big part of the transport issue with many foodstuffs, is the fact that they're flown from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
If they're bought by boat, the impact's literally 100 times smaller.
Yeah.
And I would have thought vitamin tablets probably don't come from Australia anyway, and they probably last for months.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if that's a really serious issue.
Yeah. I guess that it's kind of education as well.
Keep a balanced
diet,
and maybe still have a little bit of products in it, there shouldn't be any health problems.
Yeah. So what about fish? Like, what's that like? Because obviously we're told to have more of that, like cardiovascular benefits. What's the impact on that?
It's similar to sort of chicken
and
pigs and so on. But I worry about the sustainability of fishing anyway. More from the point of view of the fact that the oceans are being overfished than from a greenhouse gas point of view. So I personally haven't eaten fish for 25, 30 years. And it's when I look at advice on websites about how to look after myself and be healthy and fit and everything, the one thing that keeps coming up that I'm doing wrong is that I'm not eating fish. But I'm not going to eat fish.
Yeah.
So But yeah, there is a conflict there. Yeah, fish is definitely good for you, but fishing is not good for the fish.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So what about in terms of like future? I read quite a lot about there was, I think it was I think it was on the Sainsbury's website. They did like some prediction about what's going to be on the shelves in years to come, and they were talking about things like jellyfish we'd be eating, insect protein, um, yeah, things like that. Any predictions on that?
Well, it's way outside my area of expertise, but newspapers like saying things
Yeah.
like that, don't they? And then they've been saying it for decades. Uh, I have no intention of eating jellyfish or chocolate covered insects.
Yeah. Because they're quite
I
big
think
in
it's
other
more
parts of the
likely
world,
we're
right?
going to move towards artificial foods, artificial meats. That
Yeah.
seems to be the way things are actually moving.
Yeah, I did see something about that. Oh, they did say in that article that instead of going to your local supermarket and getting a grow your own peas for your kids, you'll be getting grow your own meat lab kit.
Yeah. Well, it's entirely possible. You can genetically engineer
Yeah.
microbes to make beef protein.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to do that sort of thing. And maybe that's the way we're going to go. My understanding, and as I say, I'm not any
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
expert in this area, but my understanding is the problem is getting the right texture.
Yeah.
It's not making the protein itself; it's just giving it the feel and overall taste of the real thing.
Yeah. Because yeah, obviously I've just recorded um, a podcast with a dietitian on gut health and stuff, and there's some other people on. And obviously, when you get rid of one thing, so someone drastically changes their diet, then it's not just about what you're getting rid of; it's what you're adding on, right? So we saw it
Yeah,
years ago when people said stop having saturated fat and butter. So people stopped having butter, then they had loads of oil, and then some people would say like they're getting too much omega-6 types of fats, and with plants, beans, stuff like that. And then yesterday it comes out that too much flaxseed is now like people are really confused right now. Like too much flaxseed from cyanide poisoning. Um, yeah, people are literally like, and I'm getting questions now like I kind of that, kind of that, kind of that, kind of that, kind of that. It's almost like there needs to be some, yeah, like something simple, balanced
yeah,
argument coming up.
balance.
Yeah,
Well, too much of anything is going to be bad
yeah,
for you, isn't it? I
it
don't
is.
think that's very surprising. I
Yeah,
mean, I think you get cyanide poisoning from rice as well, can't
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, they,
So,
yeah,
yeah, maybe don't have risotto and rice pudding every day.
yeah. It's funny. I always joke like because in nutrition you've got um, you could have two opposing diets, right? So you could have um, one that's vegan, say, one that's completely the opposite. So that they don't eat plants because of the anti-nutrients and like there's they've got they're completely opposing with their views, but very similar in the way they express it. So
Yeah,
they're
they're both obsessive, yeah?
yeah, it's really very interesting, and they portray opposite arguments, but in the same way.
Yeah.
And quite often, you just want them to meet in the middle, and they'll probably have quite a balance. They need to bring out a book calling it the balanced diet.
Well, vegans versus paleo diets.
Yeah, 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 and they are. It's just, and unfortunately, with social media, of course, a big influencer can write an article with millions of followers with no research quoted on it, and it's I read this from them.
Yeah.
Or that someone with a big audience can interview someone and just not really look at any research about it or anything like that, and yeah, give because I've seen there was he called himself the Prince of Vegans. I don't know if you saw it. It was 2 years ago. He was on in the media and everything like that, and he was talking about like going vegan, like one extreme, and now 2 years on, he now eats meat. I don't think he's obsessive that way, but it's just interesting how he went from one extreme straight to the other, and now some people have almost seen him as like a failure, like almost like betrayal to like, and I think this is where the issue is with nutrition. People get very divided in more than that, and extreme in their beliefs with it. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's always a problem when people get too extreme about anything.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but yeah. So if you were to, I just want to kind of sum it all up into kind of your three biggest changes someone could make. Okay, let's go 5 actually, because I know what 3 of them would be actually. 5 would extend you further, and I'd like to extend you more.
I mean, the obvious thing, as I keep saying, is the beef.
Yeah. Okay.
Cut back on the beef. Cut back on the dairy if you can. I'm a complete failure at that. I eat tons of cheese. I love cheese.
Yeah, me too.
That's the point. If anyone's listening to this and they know of any really nice vegan cheeses, can they get in touch?
Yeah.
Because all the ones I've tried have been vile. Unedible. But you can certainly try and do that, and milk, and replace those with vegetable, plant-based products. I actually really enjoy soy milk and oat milk and things like that now.
Yeah.
I kind of had to force myself a bit at first.
Yeah.
But now that I've got used to them, I actually, in coffee and cereals, I prefer them. Not in tea. Got to have dairy milk in tea. I don't know what that is. But beyond that, I think don't beat yourself up. I think it can be a bit too involved in counting things that really only have a very small effect.
Yeah.
It is mostly about hitting those really big things, and the big things keep going back to it's beef.
Yeah.
But just move in a plant-based direction, but you don't have to go the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if everyone, generally, if you do feel, I always talk about how you fill your plate. Like, if you go to a roast dinner where there's loads of help yourself in the middle, look at the person who gets the potatoes first, and their plate looks really different at the end of it compared to the person who gets the vegetables first or the meat first. What I mean is, if you can serve your vegetables first, then this is what I say from a filling point of view. I would say then your meat, then your potatoes, stuff like that. And you'll just notice that more of your plate is now filled with vegetables, especially because the first thing you see, you're more likely to serve more of, or the first thing you get, you're more likely to serve more of. And if you can start your plate with vegetables, I don't think anyone can argue, no matter what. Well, unless you're right over one side on your beliefs of that, you can really argue that that's going to be.
Oh, I don't know if you're aware of. You talk about people who go to the extremes. You heard of fruitarians?
Oh yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, only eat fruit that's fallen off a tree. I don't think they live very long.
Yeah. No. I've got a funny story about that actually, because someone actually asked with my second name if it was all about fruit. Because my second name is Fruci, so they were like, "Is it? I thought it was something to do with fruit. I didn't realise that was your second name." That's literally what they said. But no, I could maybe bring out.
Yeah, you didn't change your name deliberately then. No. It's a marketing ploy.
Yeah. Oh, that is one question I had actually on deer. So someone said about switching their beef to like venison. Is that a good swap?
It's probably marginally better, but the deer are still ruminants. They're still producing that methane gas.
But just quite a lot because they're there, and it's then like almost like what else happens to it,
Yeah.
So it's not like, I guess it's not as farmed, if you like.
Yeah. Oh, certainly from an animal welfare point of view, it's probably a lot better. And the fact they're living in forests probably means that they're helping to trap a little bit of carbon in the soil and things like that. So I think it probably is a little bit better. And because we haven't got wolves in this country, we've got to do something about the numbers anyway.
Yeah.
So if we're going to shoot them, we might as well eat them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
With the way I'd look at it. So I wouldn't be against someone doing that. I wouldn't do it myself, but it probably a slight improvement on beef.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess so. Key thing is balance, really, isn't it? Because, like I said, I mean, if I was to eat the amount of beans I'd have to eat for, say, like all the time, with and considering supplements as well, I would have to eat quite a lot of beans or like nuts, for example, then that's going to be quite a lot of calories as well in the end if I add nuts in. But like in terms of the volume of food, it's a good way to actually lower your calories in some aspects. In some aspects, you might just get like completely like the amount of food I'd have to eat. Like, is that worth considering, or is it still way better in terms of like, so for example, let's say take an egg. If I eat one egg, or I could eat, I think it's like 300 odd grams of corn to get the same amount of protein. But obviously, they're not comparable because eggs are higher quality protein. It's more absorbable with the nutrients than corn. But I'd have to eat literally like 300 grams of corn, which would be a massive amount. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the amount of food you'd have to eat to get that nutrient might be quite hard, and also you'd obviously have to grow more. Like I don't know how sustainable is it long term if someone went. I know we talked about balance, but because obviously I look at two arguments here. Obviously we've agreed that there's probably somewhere in the middle, but it's just interesting. What would happen if like we said at the start, if they got rid of animal agriculture? Is it sustainable to go completely the other way? Is that I don't know.
Well, there certainly are people who've been on purely vegan diets for decades, and they seem to be okay. I'm not aware of. I mean, you're a nutritionist.
Well, we know that.
I thought you've got to be careful about what you eat and make sure you do get everything that you need. But provided you do that, it seems to be a perfectly healthy option. But as I keep saying, I don't think completely getting rid of animals is the answer. It is about cutting back. Or at least about not expanding the total amount of animal farming that we're already doing, as other countries become richer and can afford to buy meat for themselves as well. Because that's really what's going on here. We have an affluence problem. Most of the developing nations are catching up with us in terms of their wealth, and therefore they want the same kind of diets that we have. So that's the real problem. We've got to share out what we're already producing more equitably.
Yeah, 100%. So with the vegan, like as long as you're hitting your vitamin B, iron, and probably omega-3 you want to look at, then you'll probably be fine. Like there's enough protein alternatives, providing you're willing to eat them, because I know some people aren't, that you'll be fine with. Like I said, vitamin B, iron, omega-3 is probably I'd look at. But in terms of like, it was more in terms of like the sustainability of that as well, like to hit a certain
fundamentally, arable farming uses less land than meat farming.
Like plant,
so there really just isn't enough land available on the planet to give everybody a meat-rich diet. And as I say, that's aside from the greenhouse gas issues. That's just about leaving a little bit of wildlife on the planet. Or just having the whole thing just one big farm.
Cool. So the last two things you said about travelling, right, as well?
The problem with flying it's not that flying is particularly inefficient. It's the distances concerned. So I know some people who think, oh, flying's bad, I'll drive. And that's a completely false economy. If the car's fully loaded, as in you've got 4 people in it, it probably is slightly better than an aeroplane. But if you're driving on your own, you're far worse than an aeroplane. So it's more about the distances. Where possible, use a train. Where you can't use a train, fill your car up. Car share and those kinds of things. Or don't travel too. Do what we're doing.
Technology is probably going to save us, right?
Exactly. So that's the travelling. The other thing is the energy in your house, as I say, insulation. And the final thing is purchasing. Probably about a third about a third of typical person's contributions to greenhouse gas emissions comes from the things they buy. Things like buying a car or buying a washing machine. Or manufacturing and transporting those things creates a lot of greenhouse gas. So the thing to do there is don't replace things until you need to. Don't buy yourself a new fridge just because it's got nicer buttons. Don't rush out and buy an electric car, surprisingly.
Okay.
because just making that car will release about 15 tons of carbon dioxide, which is probably 4 or 5 years worth of driving in the petrol car you got.
True.
So,
Yeah.
so by all means, get an electric car next time you buy one, but don't go out especially and buy one early. That actually makes things worse.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, cut back on purchases.
And then you've obviously got supermarkets changing with like less packaging, stuff like that, and I guess that's
Packaging's an interesting one because there are some good things to say about packaging.
okay.
If your bananas come in a plastic bag and it's not that fewer of the bananas get thrown away because they haven't got spoiled in transport, just in the supermarket and away. Food waste actually produces more greenhouse gas emissions than making plastic does.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So again, it's about balance.
Yeah.
We should cut back on single-use plastics, but there are good things to say about them as well, provided when you're finished with them, you dispose of them properly.
Yeah.
If they end up back buried under the ground, that's essentially where they came from. That's right. It's when they end up, if you throw it in the street and then it breaks up in the sunlight over a few years, get washed into the drains, ends up in the oceans.
Yeah.
People probably think if I throw a plastic bag in the street, it doesn't end up in the sea. It does.
Yeah.
It takes years to get there, but it will get there. That's where that stuff in the oceans comes from.
Yeah.
So, dispose of your plastic responsibly and don't use it for things you don't need to use it for.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I think that's everything now. Yeah, I think we've gone for everything. It's just good to touch on that and get your views on that and go with from there. I think that's everything. Anything to add to that? Anything that you think is relevant? I think we've
Nothing comes to mind. Just
perfect.
Do what you can.
Yeah, and I think like anything, it's just also not becoming extreme with it. I guess right. Because that can become extreme in itself. Like,
well, it puts people off is the problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It does become counterproductive.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, if you're not doing it perfect,
Get accused of hypocrisy and things like that. Well, we're all human. As I say, I still eat cheese.
Yeah.
I still put milk in my tea.
Yeah.
I do what I can, but where there are places where I'm perhaps not doing quite as much as I could, I don't beat myself up about it.
Yeah. Well, I've recently got a soda stream for my sparkling water, rather than buying a plastic bottle or glass bottle every time. Is that a good choice?
Although, I'm not quite sure. I have to think about it. Because, of course, you are using carbon dioxide there, and it's ending up in the atmosphere, but then that's true with the fizzy water that you buy as well.
Yeah, and I guess that doesn't have to transport to the supermarket.
And
then there's no packaging.
There's no packaging. I think that's probably the big advantage.
Yeah.
The carbon dioxide itself will have come out of the ground. It's remarkable, despite the fact that humanity is making 40 billion tons of stuff a year. We don't use the stuff we make. We drill holes and get it out of the ground. Because it's a bit like an oil filter, like it's got carbon dioxide instead of oil, and that's where a lot of the carbon dioxide comes from.
So is there not a way to recycle that for it?
There is, but it's expensive.
Right. Okay.
At the moment, it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
So we're going to get onto taxation policy and things like that. If we do that. That's how you even up the prices. That's how you make it expensive to pollute and cheap to do things like recycling. Is by taxing pollution.
And is that something that what's your views on that?
There's a particular taxation policy which no one's ever heard of. It's called carbon fee and dividend.
Okay.
And what it consists of is that you tax greenhouse gas emissions. The problem with doing that is that it makes everything more expensive.
Yeah.
And the people who really suffer are people who are not particularly well off already, people who are already struggling to pay the fuel bills.
Yeah.
So you're increasing fuel poverty by doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And you get, in the worst cases, you get riots like the Gilets Jaunes riots in France were over climate taxes on petrol.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the problem with taxing.
Yeah.
Although it's a good economic solution, it causes those sorts of problems.
Mm.
So the idea with carbon fee and dividend is that once you've collected the tax, the government doesn't keep it. It gives it back out to everyone. But so everyone is an equal dividend.
Okay.
So everyone gets like a cheque for a few £100 every year. And for those who aren't very affluent, their prices go up by less than the size of the cheque because they don't buy so much. People who are very well off and buy a lot of stuff, their prices will go up more than the size of the cheque. So it actually has the effect of helping less affluent people.
Yeah.
Rather than what taxes normally do, which is make things hard for the less affluent. But no one's ever heard. It's a brilliant policy.
Yeah.
It has been introduced in Canada. That's the only place so far. But it would be great to see governments.
How's that getting on there, do you know?
It's very controversial there.
Okay.
There's a lot of pushback from the fossil fuel industries, in particular in Canada. So there's a bit of it's an election issue. There's an election coming up. It's become an election issue there.
Interesting, yeah.
Basically, people saying this is nonsense, it doesn't help. So all the data shows that it actually does help. It does push emissions.
Yeah. Well, I guess that you can see by what's happened with smoking, like how tax and environment, in terms of like making smoking banned from places as well. But the sugar tax, I'm not sure how that's
social
gone.
acceptability as well.
Yeah.
Social attitudes changing.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, with sugar tax, the sugar tax came out. Now, if you look at diet drinks and just generally fizzy drinks and drinks around, their go-to product is now the sugar-free one. So they've redone the packaging, all that. So food manufacturers do listen, despite what people say to them.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you can get a protein-rich food anywhere pretty much now tells you that the food manufacturers are going, right, everyone's looking for protein, put protein in my food. And I used to be quite against that, but now I kind of think, well, if the average Joe goes about their day and they don't make any conscious change, but they get more protein, they might just be better off with their health by 1% today.
Yeah.
Maybe. If they're deficient. Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for your time. I think, I won't hold you any longer. Brilliant. Thanks a lot for that. And
no problem. Nice talking to you.
Speak soon. I'll get this posted out, and then any questions I get from it, am I okay to send them over to you? Or?
Yeah. Pass them on to me, and I'll get back to you.
Brilliant. Do you have anywhere where you'd want to, like a website or anything that you share information on, or not? Is it?
Not yet. There will be one.
Okay.
But it's not there yet.
Okay.
So I guess what would be good is if you could promote the Citizens Climate Lobby.
Okay. The Citizens Climate
Lobby.
Okay.
Right. It's an organisation that's pushing carbon fee and dividend.
Okay. Cool.
It started in America. It's in Canada. It's in Australia. It's small in the UK, but it's growing here. So anything we can do to publicise CCL, as it's called, would be great.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah. Well, this will go out. I haven't got time to edit it, so
yeah. Okay.
This will just go out as it is. Always easier that way. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant. Cool. Thanks, Dave.